Are boundaries relevant anymore, Wayne? I mean,
no. I mean, but we do art and stuff, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad in some professions, that there are guidelines and standards, you know. You fly a lot.
I do.
I'm glad there's standards, aren't you?
Well,
I wish they were stricter.
Yeah, I'm happy about rules. I had especially in an airplane, but I had that moment flying in here because I flew from LA on a smaller plane.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where you're like, how do I know if that guy knows what he's doing?
Oh, let's not even talk about it. I know.
Why?
It's horrible.
Will you have that moment?
I think about it all the time, and then I think, oh, well, no, it's horrible.
You've got to trust somebody.
You're completely at the mercy of, every time I get in a plane, I think that same thing, and it's not really funny, but it's part of, I always say this, but I'm not a control freak.
No.
But, there are times when you have to let go. And I think it's wonderful to let go.
That's the moment.
Yeah.
I've said that before. I said that the moment you become spiritual is not when you're praying on an airplane, but it's when you realize you can't fly it.
Well, do you think about that?
Of course.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like if the guy, let's say he's a great guy, but he has a heart attack.
Right.
And then what do you do?
Well, I don't go that far with it. I generally, what I do is when I'm sitting there going, we're fucked, the plane is shaking, I say, you know what? You don't know anything about flying. It's completely out of your control.
Oh, no.
You're going to have to sit with that.
Exactly. No, exactly. See, but I talk to pilots as much as I can.
Really? You go into the cockpit?
Yeah, no, I just mean like when I
knock on the door.
No, it's like I know a few.
Oh, you do?
And I've met some here and then. I'm like, really, should we worry when it's shaking? And they're like, no. You don't have anything to worry about.
What I heard is that you got to worry. I worry now about. My paranoid fantasy on airplanes now is another plane is going to hit the plane.
Oh, totally. Don't even.
That's the one.
Why? Why has this gotten in your mind?
Because I've heard of some close calls lately.
Right.
And that's like the image I have of dying on a plane is all of a sudden the last thing I see is another plane.
Totally. I know. I think about that all the time. I thought about it just last night flying in because it's cloudy and there was an episode of Breaking Bad. I don't watch Breaking Bad, but I heard about it where one of the air traffic controllers his daughter has died and he's still not and then he's all stressed out and he doesn't do his job right. And he crashed.
Boom.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But
the worst.
But what would happen? What would you see? It's not like you just die instantly. Like, oh, you just boom.
Well, I think about that too. That moment where it's like how much horror is going to happen. I mean, what do you mean? What would you see? You would just see there would be this blast of shit, and then you'd probably black out if you were lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you weren't, you'd be like, I'm falling.
Yeah, no, I think about that all the time because why would you black out? I mean, people jump out of parachutes and
you'd freak out. I mean,
I don't think shock would do it.
The wind would be sucked out.
Well, hopefully that would happen. That the wind and everything because you're going so
blow
fast,
up, dude. There's
that
fucking
it would just
gas.
Yeah. Well, no, I know, and it would hopefully it would just be. Fuck! And then,
and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the best you can hope for. The worst you can hope for is oh, this is happening. And it's still happening.
Well, I've been on one plane was really bad where the engine went out.
Oh, man.
And they tell you, that, hey,
what did he say?
We've done this before and everything's going to be all right.
Because you could tell the engine went out?
I felt it.
You did?
No, I felt it. I was walking back to the bathroom and there was this little...
Yeah.
And the pilots didn't know, but the intercom was accidentally on.
Right. Oh, no.
And they were like, oh, no, I think the engine went out.
No, you did not.
I heard it. No one else heard it, but I heard it.
Yeah.
And I came back and I said, "You hear that?" And everybody was listening to their iPods and stuff and didn't hear anything.
And you're the only one who knows?
And then he came back on. He said, "Well, we've had an engine failure.
Oh, my God.
But we can fly perfectly fine on one engine." And you think, well, why? What if the other one fails?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we had two, and then now we have one. And it, and it seems like they know what they're doing, but still you're at, 40,000 feet, and it takes you, 40 minutes to get down.
Right.
And the whole time you're like, Jesus.
It's always my assumption that shit is just going to happen so quickly. That you want to believe that, but you probably might have some time depending where you're sitting.
No, I mean, you see how long it takes for a plane even to fall.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd know it's falling.
But you think about death a lot.
I think about it all the time. But then, then it passes and you deal with it. But I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, I know in those quiet moments, it's like, you got that moment where you're like, all right, this is I'm here, and boom, who the fuck knows? But I mean, I I was like going over. I was listening to your shit on the way here because I've listened to it over the years, and I just was dumping a bunch of it into my head in preparation.
Oh,
to
good.
meet
All
you.
right, nice. All right.
And it's amazing how often the sort of the struggle with the acceptance of death as part of life is part of your rap, man.
It is. Well, I think I've always said, you write songs about things that you can't control.
Really.
And so, this is your way of fighting back or or accepting it yourself or talking yourself into it's going to be all right. Because everything else is just, you don't care. It doesn't occupy the fear spot in your head.
I try not to do the death thing that much.
Well, no, but I mean, as you get older, there's nothing you can do.
How old are you?
I'm 51.
I'm 48.
And you look in the mirror and you're just like, oh
it's
my
happening.
God. I know. It's like you see I see old people all the time, like those poor old fuckers, and then it's like, and then I'll forget because you feel the same. I mean, to me,
know, exactly.
It's like you turn 20 and that's just the way you feel till you die.
Your brain doesn't change. It just loses some shit.
But you look in the mirror and you're like, oh man, shit.
There's no stopping this thing.
No, and sometimes it's cool because you're like, well, I could be doing a lot worse, or look at me, I'm cool or whatever. Right. But other times you're just like, I don't know, it's coming. I guess that's the thing. When you're young, it's it's on such a distant horizon.
Right. Right, for real. So, I mean, sometimes you'll panic about it, but you're probably not, you're out of the woods until you hit about where we are, and then it's like, it's just right over there.
Well, or guys that are younger than you have heart attacks.
Kicking it. I know some dudes that are dead. Man, this is a great way. You know what? This is going to end. This is
funny. Hey, this is funny.
No, it's going to end when it's all going to make sense. Because I'm just having these same feelings where I lay in bed sometimes at night and I just hear myself breathing. And I'm just laying there. My girlfriend's snoring next to me. Yeah. And there's that moment where you're like, is this it? This is it. I mean, this is this is life. This is what's happening right now. And this is all there is. And it could just go away.
Jesus. Now I'm getting a panic attack.
You are?
Because the way you were, now that you started talking about it, I try to psychically connect.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Then it's like, hey, if you're doing good, I'm doing good. But then if you're freaking out.
I'm not freaking out at all. Because even when I was listening to your music on the plane over here, there seems to be a very conscious integration of this whole flow of things. There's I understand, you say it's out of your control, but you seem to be having some acceptance, at least poetically, of the situation at hand.
Well, I think, like I said, by singing about it, you kind of get something in your mind or in your life or in your way. You're like, okay,
Did you grow up here?
Yeah. Wasn't born here, but I think my parents had me and then left out of Pittsburgh as quick as they could. So
to come here
of all places. Yeah.
What what was the business of the old man?
It was, I think he was offered some kind of, he was going to be the manager of like an office, thing, where you go and install desks and all these things in office buildings and stuff. And I don't think they had any idea what Oklahoma was like. But I think they didn't like living around. They had a giant family, as people used to, back in the day.
And they wanted to run away.
I think they were sick of their families.
There used to be a beauty to that. Like, mom's just right down the street, and then someone realized, we can put mom further away.
Well, as soon as you get a car. Yeah. No, but I mean, for me, I love that idea of living around my brothers and my mother and all that sort of stuff. But I think for them, it was a way to say, well, we can just do our own life. So I think I have some of that in me as well.
Sure.
As I get older, my mother and father, they would never talk about it like that.
Right.
They would always talk about it as just real matter of fact, like, well, we moved and that's where we lived. We didn't think about it too much.
Right.
But me, I mean, I think about everything too much all the time. It's like, oh my God. And so, after they had died, you are always left with these questions that can never be answered.
They both passed away?
Not at the same time, but little by little.
Right.
But then you can never know.
No, there's a lot of things I've been thinking about that with my father and with my mother who are both still with us, that there's some things you'll never know, even when they're alive. Because how do you ask them?
Well, I know. My mother would just say, she said, oh, I don't remember.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean you don't remember?
I think that's the gift of aging sometimes, because I forget shit, and maybe that's the way it's designed. Some people think like it's sad that people forget. There's some shit that I'm willing to let go, Wayne.
No, see, I think for them, they never thought of it as being a significant, important thing like we would. Why would you leave? And they were like, I don't know, we needed a job. And then that just led to the next day.
But you ask questions about yourself, like, why am I like this? How come, I got to track that thing down?
Well, I do all the time, but I try not to worry about it
You can't worry about it. You got to accept that too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a freak, just like my dad.
But I mostly accept the good things. I
Yeah.
think, well, look at me. I'm lucky. I get to do this thing. I get to make music, and that's my job.
Right.
You know, I get to make music and travel around and all the things that I like that I'm not responsible for. I mean, sometimes I think about, like, why do you like the food that you like? It's not like a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just spent an hour and a half driving around everywhere to find a fucking barbecue place.
Did you go to Leo's?
Yeah.
It's good.
It is good.
Yeah, yeah.
You've been there?
I think I have over on 36th
Do you
Street.
eat meat? You eat it?
I do. I mean, I try not to eat as much red meat now.
Yeah.
See, because we're talking about being old, you know.
I gotta go to the doctor.
Yeah.
We're gonna get at. We're pulling the plane up here. This plane is not gonna crash into us sitting here going, "Oh fuck, we're just a couple of old guys hanging on."
No, I think people don't realize how much we're scared. That's why we do music and you tell
do
your
comedy.
ridiculous
Sure.
stories and stuff because it's like,
Yeah.
But otherwise, it wouldn't be interesting if you
we'd just be walking around crying and screaming.
or that we wouldn't care about anything. I mean, I love it when I run into people that are just like, man, I don't care. You know?
Don't you wish you could be like them?
do.
Sociopathic?
Yeah, I do. I do. There were some guys on the plane last night.
Really?
It's like
Just didn't give a fuck?
It just doesn't matter. They know the plane's it's not gonna crash because they're on it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, dude, that's not how it works. But in their mind.
But this is their part of you that thinks like, well, if they know that, then I guess I'm okay too. Because
I do kind of. But that's what I mean with this psychic connection. You know, if you're around, sometimes I think you're sitting around a bunch of people that are secretly fearing the same thing.
Of course,
And
everyone.
You pick up on that.
We're just
You know what I mean?
people.
So I'm going to be around people like the dudes that were sitting around us last night. They're partying. They're having a good time.
Right.
They're just like,
right.
They're talking about all the crazy shit they were doing. And they don't even notice the plane took off. And I'm like, I wish I was
And
like
you're
that.
like grabbing on. Yeah, holding the fucking things. I've gotten a little better, man. And sometimes I pass out like right when we take off. Like I think it's the shift in oxygen. Like almost always, like seconds before takeoff, I'm like, grr. And I usually wake up like 2 or 3 minutes later when we're just up.
You don't mean pass out. You just mean like you doze
fall
off.
asleep.
Yeah.
Because I think of I think it has something to do. I just realized with the change in compartment
Wow.
pressure. But I fall asleep all the time.
You know that.
But I don't stay asleep.
That happens to me.
It does, right?
It does. Maybe it's stress or something. I don't know.
But
But
like right at takeoff, you're just like boom.
Yeah, or like I don't know. You're sitting there and it's like
I think it's the air change.
You do?
Maybe, or maybe I don't seem we have similar experience
Yeah.
with flying.
I mean, you think that would be the time that you would be just the most scared,
Freaked out.
and there'd be nothing, you know, that
Right.
you would just be, oh my god. But it's
Maybe
the
that's what
opposite.
happens. It surrenders. You go into such an intensified panic that it's time for the body to just give you a break.
No, I hate it because I try to fight it because I want to be awake to make sure if we're going to crash. What
wanna
would
be
you
awake
do
for that.
Yeah. Like I'm going to help. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
throw a raft
Do you really
out
think
or
you're going to
something.
help, or you're just
No,
going to?
I don't know, but I just it seems to be unaware.
Yeah.
For me, to be unaware of what's going on is worse than being aware, even if it's a
No, I
fiery,
think that's
fiery
probably
death.
true. But I think you might be a little bit of a control freak then.
I wonder about that. Are you? Have you thought about that?
I tend to like I have to struggle with that. You know, like I think it all comes out of fear, and you'd like your shit to be in place. And,
Sure, yeah.
And the best way to really find out whether or not you're a control freak is how many women you've sent away.
Ooh.
That
Really?
Well, yeah, in the way that like you know, if you've had relationships where
Right.
you know you've ruined them because of your jealousy, your inability to let them have their own space.
Is that happened to you?
Sure, but I think that's all control.
You mean like
shit.
hundreds of women?
Oh yeah, I've literally sent hundreds of women crying.
Then that's a good sign for me because I've been with my still call her my
Yeah.
girlfriend, but
Yeah.
I've been with her for 24 years.
So well, that's good.
So
So you
maybe
seem to have
I'm
control of that situation.
But see, maybe I'm a wimp. Maybe I'm a wimpy control freak, and I just can't go through.
No,
with it.
I don't think you're a control thing.
Okay.
I think that it's this fear, and clearly, like even that was the other thing I was realizing about the music is that as beautiful the melody and as beautiful the chords, there always seems to be a rumble of chaos.
Yeah.
Just beneath the surface.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I mean, we don't like music to be too just too pleasant. You know, I mean, music can do that. I mean,
Right.
Music has a lot of ways of just doing the right thing.
Right.
Know? So I think we're always hoping there's a little bit of, you know, agitation or something.
Well, so when you were like
something-
driving around, you got your driver's license, Oklahoma. I grew up in New Mexico, right next
Oh,
door.
right. You did, yeah. Cool.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I got my driver's license when I was 15.
Right.
So you were driving around probably at 16.
I
out
was
here.
driving a motorcycle. Yeah. I didn't have a car for the longest time. We
How many
drove
kids in your
motorcycles.
family?
I have 4 brothers and a sister. So
Wow.
a bunch of us party all the time. It was great.
Right.
Older brothers too did drugs. Listened
so
to
you
music,
got all the
did
records,
all the shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's the gift, man.
That is totally. I know, it is.
Like that's the gift when you're okay. So and they're older brothers, so you're a little older than me. So you got the good records.
Totally. I mean, we grew up in the '60s with the Beatles and drugs and everything, and then they had weird friends that played music, and it was. I mean, it was the utopia when people talk about. What was your life? I'm like, dude, don't even ask, because I
that's
the
amazing.
life.
Thing, like, and you were in Oklahoma, so all this shit was being delivered like it was from another planet.
Well, we never thought that we were. See, when you're young, you don't know you're in Oklahoma.
No,
you
but
just
I mean,
think you're living.
But you weren't surrounded by the Haight-Ashbury. So
No.
when shit came in, it was like, holy fuck, look at this. Listen to this.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
No, I know. I think that, and I don't. I try to remind people that when you're shaped, that when you're like 11, 12, 13 and you're getting all that stuff and it shapes you. I mean, man.
Oh, yeah.
I speak about it now because I think the statute of limitations has to be over. But I sold pot when I was 16 years old. I mean, I knew so many people that were buying. We were always buying weed and stuff.
That was back when they had seeds and stems.
Well, yeah.
You had to clean it on a record, on a cover of a record, and just watch 900 seeds fall out of that.
Totally
reefer.
did. But people loved. I mean, back then, when I was 16, I always thought it would just be legal. It was going to be legalized any minute now.
Right.
And this was back in like 1977.
Right.
I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that it's still?
Well,
some places
true.
it seems like
it's getting easy. It's getting a little easier for people to claim that they have some sort of minor problem.
Do you smoke pot?
I've not done anything in 12 years, but I've certainly done my share.
Did you go too much and now you can't do any?
I did. What happened was, I was pretty much, the buffet type of drug user. Daily pot smoker. And then the other stuff, it was the booze and the coke that got a little gnarly.
Right.
If I think about anything, I miss pot. But my problem is once I feed something into the system, system is like, well, doors are open, dude.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Why are we sleeping?
No, I talk to more and more guys. Yeah. You're probably the sixth guy that I know that is in the exact same boat. It's like, you can't do anything now.
Yeah,
you can't even do a little bit, because then that'll break
it's just
down.
like you have that hunger. If you've got that thing that needs to be fed.
So what do you do? What's your advice?
Well, I drink a lot of coffee. I got nicotine lozenges. I'm still pretty altered, but it's
so
relative.
You don't smoke cigarettes?
No, I don't. You?
I see. I used to. I mean, I loved it too.
Oh God, I love them.
But it gets you.
That's one of the stupid ones, though. That one is so clearly stupid.
No. I mean, but it's so helpful. I mean, when you're young and, when I was 22, you're driving around, you're just so, you're scared of everything. As your interview has brought to a light, I think I'm scared of everything.
Yeah. And
I wasn't scared of coming here.
No, you shouldn't be.
We just barged right in.
I'm not scary.
But, I think that must be why they give you the cigarette when you're in the firing squad, because it's like, otherwise you just wouldn't want to stand there.
It stuffs all that fear, man.
You'd be like, fuck it. You'd run away or just scream and
give me
cry.
something I can focus on.
But I think it's great to have, I don't know, this addiction. Everybody's addicted to stuff, Everybody says, well, I'm an addictive personality. It's like, well, yeah, you probably know that because you got addicted to stuff. But I think I would be. I mean, I've never tried heroin and some of the really, bad ones. Did you?
I tried. I snorted some heroin. I smoked some heroin. I was never a needle guy.
I drew
get
the
you.
Line. It didn't.
No, it didn't get me. Thank God. I like going up. I don't like going down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When I tried the heroin, I smoked the heroin. I got it. I understood the high. Yeah. I didn't get, because I was smoking it and not banging it, I didn't get that thing where somehow or another it was like an elongated orgasm. Thank God. Sure, I didn't get that, because I don't know how anyone could walk away from that.
Well, no, I know.
Yeah, but I did smoke it, and I did get the sort of like, okay, I can't keep my head up. Is this good? So I'm glad that question was there.
Right. Yeah. So yours was like cocaine?
I like cocaine. I like smoking pot every day, all day.
I see.
And I like,
but see, to me,
drinking and coke was good. I like that. Did some hallucinogens, but it was never completely my bag.
Oh, like acid and...
Did some acid, did some mescaline, did some mushrooms, but not... Like, I know dudes... What's your experience with that?
I like mushrooms. I haven't done very much of any of that. The acids is too much for me. I mean,
you never know when's going to stop.
Man, I
it's like,
hate that.
You're just sitting there, it's like, okay, I think we're done. Nope, I got to sit down again. things are talking that shouldn't
it's horrible. And some people love it and just can go forever, but not me. I mean, I wish it was like a 20-minute, 30-minute, maybe an hour or
boom,
something.
condensed. Like,
Yeah.
Some people smoke that shit. What's that weird
DM,
that
DMT.
blasts you out. And yeah. No, I was never. That's scary.
It is,
that, and I think that's the same with the heroin. It's like that shit's scary. All of a sudden you're in the mouth of a demon you can't get out of. And with the acid, it's like you just felt your whole fabric of self was disrupted.
Oh, dude, don't even. I know it's like even when you start to say it is.
You start getting that weird sweat.
God damn. Interview's over. Goddamn. No, I don't know. I recently did some music with this Kesha, this popular gal. But when I walked in there, I had a song prepared. I'd written part of a song that we were going to do, and I know she's a freak and she does all kinds of stuff. And I said, well, here's the scenario: is that she wanted to do a song about 2012 being the end of the world and all that. So I said, well, I've prepared this song and you have to sing it. And even though the world's ending, you've just done a bunch of acid, so you don't care and you're just partying, having a good time.
That's her character in the song,
right? And I just assumed that's what she was like.
Yeah.
And so when I told her, she said, "Oh my God, wait, you can't because I haven't done the acid." And I said, "Well, I thought you did all this stuff." She's like, "Well, I do mushrooms and all that other stuff." But my mother, when she was young, did too much acid and claims to this day she never came down.
Oh.
Yeah, who wants that?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but once she said that, she's like, "But fuck it, I don't care." She pointed to her assistant.
Yeah.
Just a normal gal, said, "Go get us some acid and we'll
and we'll
do some." Yeah. And then she can sing the song. But I said, "No, because I don't want to do any either, But
you've got to run the knobs.
But what if she did and then she didn't
freak
come
out
down? Yeah.
Well, I think that acid that they're talking about in the 60s, like the pure Owsley stuff,
Right.
That I don't know if it's the acid that does the brain in or actually where the acid takes you. It's not clear. But there have been guys that you probably respect. Sid Barrett, we lost him to that shit.
Well, right. No, I know.
And Peter Green from
there's even guys that I know that I kind of feel like,
tweaked him a little bit. But then you get people like Robert Crumb who didn't do much acid, but the one or two times he did, he saw those trails, and then we got Mr. Natural.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sometimes that thing will just. Push
I'm glad I did it because at least there's.
Did it change your thing?
I think it probably did, but I think what it does is it's that part of you that says, "I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway."
Right.
And then once you do it, it gets you through something.
But exactly. Yeah. But there were always those people that seem like those. I was never the type of drug guy where, like, you talk to those dudes who are like, "Yeah, I did acid every day for a month." I'm like,
"Oh, totally, yeah."
But some guys just got a brain for it and they don't freak out.
Yeah. No, I know.
I have freaked out on acid.
Yeah. You have?
Out. Sure.
Oh. Like,
sure.
Did you kill somebody or?
No, I mean, freak fell into myself.
Yeah. No, when you say it, you use good words to describe these things.
Like, I remember one time I was in New York and I had some mushrooms. And I fucking popped them in my apartment, and it was at nighttime, and I didn't have a guide, I didn't have a friend, it was just me thinking I could fucking handle that shit. And I went outside, I got a half a block away from my apartment, and people got evil, and I went back. And I spent the rest of the night in my apartment just surrounded by everything that was evil outside. Because sometimes when you're on mushrooms, man, or you're out, if you don't have a friend with you, man, people get real close and they're real sweaty. They're right here, and there's that weird fine line between, like, does this guy know he's the fucking devil?
Well, no, but see, that's the dilemma. You get all that inner voice starts telling you every. Well, I think that's why I relate to you, because that's what happens to me when it goes bad. I just think, oh my God,
And then you don't know if you're seeing the truth or it's not the truth. And then when you come down, you realize, oh, that couldn't have been the truth, but it sort of still sticks with you a little bit, and it takes a while to shake that.
Well,
shit.
maybe the people that like it, maybe they're just more relaxed, and it's the opposite for them.
Well, they can have a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that like somehow strap in, like if your attitude going into hallucinogenics is like, all right, you ready? Here we go.
Right.
As opposed to like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like if you're what's going to happen, dude, you're fucked getting into the ship.
Yeah. So how did you get so? I mean, how did you get so fucked up on the drugs you were doing?
I just think. What happens? I think.
But it wasn't
drugs,
those. You like cocaine and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that stuff. Well, there's no benefit. There's no winning that.
Well,
you don't win those things. No one says, I finally got this cocaine thing right where I want it. You know, I mean,
no, I know. I mean, I've done it. But what's there not to like?
No, of course
yeah,
not.
I mean, it's
but
wonderful.
then there's the thing is, it's like, what's there not to like at 3 a.m. when you've already done an 8-ball, and you're sitting there thinking something else could happen. When it's just you and the guy you got the coke from, and some guy you don't know who seems dangerous sitting there doing lines talking about your guitar. Are you really living the dream?
Well, that you've done it enough to know that's normal. That's really what's happening.
You're gonna go. That's where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But sure, like the beginning of the night, the first 2 bumps, when you're fucking king of the world and like everybody's,
anything could happen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah, and then at 3 a.m. when you're the last guy standing and you're still waiting for anything to happen, nothing's gonna happen. You're just gonna be in bed talking to yourself, hoping you don't die.
It is. It's the talking. I think it's that people just love to. They just love to talk.
Yammering on the blow.
Not listening, but talking.
Oh no, blah, 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 about anything, about a car, about an engine, about a guitar, about the food they can't eat right now. But they're the only ones having a good time.
Yeah.
So how is it that you're the way you are, and I can relate to you so much, but it seems like the world you've created around yourself is fairly provocative in terms of like out there.
Yeah, well, I think there's something associated with the sort of music we do. People think you must do a lot of drugs and all this sort of stuff, but to me, it's just pure imagination.
Right.
I mean, obviously, we do drugs and things like that, and I think we're just lucky that we get to play into that because everybody, musicians don't think that this, but a lot of people listen to music. They just assume, oh wow, you're out there. That's why you create this kind of music. But I'm not.
But you come from a psychedelic tradition. I mean, at some point, you were very consciously doing that kind of music.
I didn't think about it in the beginning. I mean, because like I said, with my older brothers and all that, this was just the music that we knew.
Who are your guys? Like, who are your
Well, everything. I mean, growing up, obviously, with stuff like the Beatles and Pink Floyd, and then as I got older, punk rock stuff happened, and then we'd go to all the punk rock shows, and then we had our own group, and then we would just go around and we'd meet everybody and play everywhere. And
what were some of the first concerts you saw that were like, holy shit?
Well, the very first one I saw was Alice Cooper, which was bad because he had just gone like schlocky,
Oh, really? Yeah.
But then soon after that, I saw like the Who, still in their really great.
Out here?
Yeah. In their great heyday.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. We saw things like Led Zeppelin and
really
all the stuff. They would all come here back in the day.
So, you had older brothers, they drag you out.
They totally did.
By the time I was in fucking high school, I mean, Zeppelin was like, are they going to do another record? And then then In Through the Outdoor came out.
Yeah.
And that was what I got.
Yeah, not as cool. Yeah.
No.
Not as cool.
I didn't have older brothers.
Yeah.
So, you were fucking gifted.
I totally was. No, and so that's why I live the way I do, because I realized, wow, I never had a moment in my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 10 years old. I was like, I want to be in a band, have long hair, and be a weirdo, and do art and stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody that was around me would always encourage that. Play guitar and draw pictures, and that's so great.
It is great.
And I'm still doing it.
Your folks too were into it?
Yeah, they weren't artists themselves, but I mean, I think they, especially after you have, older. My brothers, all were like criminals and did bad things. So by the time they got to
car
me,
theft, drugs, what?
Nothing too horrible. They didn't kill anybody, but just not. They didn't want to have a job and have a lot of jail. Yeah. So by the time they got to me, and all I wanted to do was play guitar and draw pictures. Yeah, like look at him. That's so even better for me.
Finally, someone who's not going.
No, I mean they loved every. I don't want to make it seem like they didn't care for everybody.
But they thought maybe we won't have to bail out Wayne.
Right, yeah. And then I think I really saw the other side of that drug thing as well. How it was a torture to them. They had great times too. I mean, watching my older brothers and their friends.
Right.
But they had bad times.
A lot
crack
of them, they wrestled with it.
And crystal meth and those are
dirty.
Those, man. I mean, you got to be tough to get out of that.
It's
and once you're in
drugs.
that,
the crack thing. I mean, look at poor Whitney Houston. I mean, I just recently got this weird hair up my ass the last 2 days. I just started thinking about, I mean, you've got to have this experience because you've created some songs that are transcendent, and I think music is magic, and I think you know that.
It is, yeah, true,
so,
yeah.
So, no matter how you're going to judge whatever Whitney was dragged through in the media or whatever she dragged herself through or however fucked up that she got or however you want to judge her, that version of I Will Always Love You is going to be transcendent as long as there's a way to play it on a fucking speaker.
Yeah.
So she delivered that.
Well, and people love that. I mean, they love that. And I was at the Grammys, the year that song was like the biggest song of the year. Yeah.
You listen to a lot of songs. Like I was listening to, I got shit on my iPod like, ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship.
Totally.
That was it, dude. Where's that guy, man?
You know, it's funny. I have thought that exact
Rock on,
thing.
man. Rock on. Hey, kid.
Well, that's David Essex.
Right.
One song.
That's it.
I don't even know who the other guys are. Ride, Captain, ride.
upon your mystery ship.
I know. It's like you know the song, but you don't even know. I've thought that exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like that. But see, I listened to that not too long ago.
I like it as a tune. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that like she did contribite that one thing. Some people want that one song, and even if it's not theirs, what are you going to do? Because like I was listening to. What was it? The War Against the Mystics?
Yeah.
And there's a song on there that is definitely kind of, it's got that kind of funky, like almost Prince kind of groove.
Oh, cool. It does. Totally. Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about?
I can occasionally, if I get the right melody with a falsetto, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
But I can't really sing that good like that.
No,
but
I
it's
mean,
fun.
but the music too.
Yeah, totally.
You're
well,
on it.
the group is great. I mean, they can play anything.
When you started though, you were playing with your brother?
My younger brother was with us for just the very beginning. But, we were doing it more out of just something chaotic to do. It wasn't necessarily just about music. I mean, I was into it for music and lifestyle and everything. And I think he was into it mostly just like to do crazy shit,
Right.
So I think the minute that we got, to start thinking about, let's record and let's, what are we going to do with this music? I think he just got bored with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was his?
he was just a singer, just doing crazy shit.
And what instruments do you play?
I just play guitar.
Oh, okay, you don't.
But nowadays, with computers, there's so many things you can just do.
You're not afraid of the synthesizers.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those are my friends.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to know what you're doing, and they make great sounds.
For a while there, the synthesizers was instrument non grata.
Well, right. No,
unless you're going to do it ironically.
The hipsters didn't like it. I know. But
now it's
But
back,
they were
dude.
wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, we always did. I mean, I always loved that, especially like that Moog solo at the end of the Emerson, Lake and Palmer song, Lucky Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I always loved it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would run into people occasionally that would have these mega weird synthesizers, and you can just do anything with them.
Well, I talked to that dude, James Mercer, from the Shins.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to him recently, and, I asked him about synthesizers. He's like, you know how much work went into getting those things to make those sounds?
Well, right, yeah.
I mean, it's
cool.
fucking genius. And I'm like, all right.
I know. No, but I always loved them. But they kind of went out of vogue.
But you have a good time with it? Is that basically how you start?
Well, but I mean, I'm lucky because, we have like the weirdo punk rock side of us,
right.
But we also have this really sophisticated musical side of us. And so, I always tell people it's easy to kind of be a noisy, freaky group. I mean, that's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, to do it and be inspired all the time, I suppose, is.
Yeah.
But it is quite difficult to, like, this thing you're talking about where it's beautiful and it's emotional. That takes some skill.
And also, it seems like every one of your records is an honest record. That there were like I noticed this just on the obviously a few of the later records are legitimately concept records. I mean, if we
yeah.
But it also seems to me that even early on, probably about 2 or 3 records in, you were thinking in terms of the album, not just the song, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we grew up with all that. I mean, we'd put on.
And that's a great thing.
Back in the day, you'd put on a record, and it would be 4 or 5 songs in a row. And
right, and it kind of connect, like you kind of go on a ride.
But I go both ways, even myself. Yeah. I like sometimes hearing a series of songs,
right,
and it being like this little adventure. And other times, I'll just put on one song, and it can even be by the same group. There's just no restrictions. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I like.
Right.
And that's, I mean, to me, when you really do run into someone, and that's why I wanted to even run into you, when you run into someone, and that's what they're doing with their life, I'm like, I want to be with them. I like that. I want to know, why are they doing it, how are they doing it.
Right.
So to listen to someone like a Frank Zappa, it's amazing because he's Frank Zappa. I mean, you forget that's a big deal just to be. To create your own entity.
Oh yeah, Zappa.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of humor there too.
Well, maybe too much. Yeah, there was nothing else but that. But I love the way he played guitar, and when I saw him play,
right.
I mean, it was loud and it was heavy,
right.
And I think a lot of people think he's like jazzy or he's weird. But what I liked about it, I mean, it's like our music. I like it to be like it's intense.
Yeah, rock.
And he really was. So I think I was really lucky. I got to see him do his thing. But the second time I saw him, he would do these guitar solo things.
Yeah.
He'd trip off.
Right. Sure.
And I was sitting kind of up in the stadium a little bit, not stadium, like an arena, but I was sitting up a bit, and there was a hippie on the floor, playing with one of these little glow in the dark, little things.
Sure,
those little baton things.
The glow stick.
Yeah, glow stick. And Frank Zappa was playing a solo, and I saw this dude throw it, and it bumped Frank Zappa right in the chest.
Yeah,
boom. Yeah. Like he was hypnotized by his guitar solo, and suddenly, bam.
Yeah.
And he stopped the whole show.
No shit.
And he got his bodyguard. I'd seen his bodyguard at the other show. Just this real pissed off looking giant black dude, old guy. And I saw him because I was up a bit. I saw him point at the dude, and he's like, "Go get that dude." And they went and got the dude. I mean, you got to think, if you were standing next to the guy and you knew he did it, if the bodyguard said, "Who did it?" would you go, "He did it, man"? I wouldn't say anything.
You wouldn't rat him out?
I don't know. Who cares? It's a little thing.
It depends on how high you are at that moment.
Well, I know how scared you are.
I guess moral integrity has something to do with it.
Or like maybe you really felt like, Frank got, it was. But for me, it felt like too severe of a punishment.
Well, what did he had him thrown out, or what did he do?
Well, they grabbed
Did they bring him up on stage and hit him?
No, it just looked like we're going to take him out back and, kick his face in or something. I don't know. It just looked. But why would it even matter?
Yeah, it's like get past it.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to me like, you get.
So is this what provoked you to have as much shit as possible on stage at all times?
Yes. I mean, I think about that because I'm like, we played a show at the Hollywood Bowl where we gave out 10,000 of these little things. We gave them to everybody, and at some point during the show, they're throwing them at you anyway.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready for it, if you get hit in the face, it can kind of piss you off.
Sure.
At some point, I just said, "All right, come on, motherfuckers, let's go. Everybody, just throw them at us." And we were doing this song. But that's the secret. See, the secret is if you know they're coming, they can hit you all over the place and you don't care.
It's a celebration.
It's the surprise, you know? So I was just trying to get it all out of the way. Plus, it just looks great that you're thinking.
Sure, it's raining glow sticks.
It's raining
and
glow
also, you're
sticks.
you're kind of exercising that demon that Frank Zappa unleashed.
Well, but I thought, why did it matter to him so much?
Right. Well, there was some bad blood in the frequency.
Yeah,
Wayne.
yeah. It's like I just thought it was overreacting.
But that's funny that it led to such a profound part of your stage show.
Well, now, we bring it on. You could not do anything that would set the Flaming Lips off of their focus.
Well,
we are here to play and entertain.
And that last tour, that was really, that Hollywood Bowl show was sort of infamous and huge, but all the appearances were big shows. And
we try to make it sort of seem like every night is like a giant New Year's Eve celebration. If you're with us, this is the greatest party. You can.
And that's the plan.
Yeah.
When did you choose the white suit?
Well, in the beginning, it was based on this picture that I'd seen of Miles Davis, where he was standing outside of a nightclub.
I know that one with the black shirt.
Yeah. Well, no, he's been hit in the head and he's bleeding.
Oh, that's not the one.
And then the blood, because you can't tell because he's dark skinned, but it's a black and white photo. But on his white suit, you can see the blood spatter. And so I was doing this thing where during a song, even a song that we were rehearsing today, where I would pour blood on my head. And, I was kind of wanting everybody to see it.
Yeah.
Because when they can't really tell. So I thought, well, if I wear this white suit, if I pour this blood on my head, everybody will see it and there'll be, some dramatic thing. So it's really all based on just being a show off. That's what it was.
The Miles Davis picture provoked that somehow?
Yeah, because I thought, well, that's how you can see the blood. Otherwise, if he was wearing a dark suit,
so
there's no show.
Right, but it's so funny that it has that like Miles as a thing to himself represents this whole other thing, but actually the inspiration for the white suit had nothing to do with Miles Davis. So.
Not necessarily, but for me it was. Here's this guy, and he's like understated, and he's dignified, and it's mystical. He's badass. You know, and then it to be sort of the contrast of the brutality and the blood and all that. It was cool.
Sure.
But it was mostly just to look cool. Yeah. I mean, I think there's something in. I mean, sometimes we're doing our music and you don't really know what it is you're going to sing about or be about or whatever. And sometimes I think we just get lucky that prevails.
But there's weird themes. There is.
We talk about insects and
but universal struggle.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah.
But early in the music, it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this
yeah.
weird kind of like,
but
there's
I don't think,
a kind of like sensitive hero in a way.
Yeah, but I don't think we're necessarily always responsible for it. I mean, sometimes, with music and lyrics and melodies, you get to sing about something, even though you don't really know what the fuck you're singing about.
But do you write most of the lyrics?
Yeah.
So,
but sometimes you just get lucky.
Sure.
I mean, we were rehearsing over there before I came over here, and there's a lyric that we do at the end of one of our songs on the Soft Bulletin where it says, "The sound they made was love," and it's the culmination of this song that's all about this reaching and this emotion and how it's called a spoonful weighs a ton, but it means these little things that people do can just mean the world to you. And I didn't even know what I was going to sing. I thought seems like the song is really going well, but I don't know the last fucking word of the song. And I've made all these rhymes with the sun and a ton, and there's all these things, and I don't know what I'm going to sing.
Right.
And when I'm recording it, I still know I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know the punchline.
Right.
You must do that sometimes. I don't know where this is going.
I have to wait till it's delivered. You can only wait till it's delivered.
And then I sang the sound they made was love.
Right.
And it's like, it's the perfect lyric.
Right. It was delivered.
As if I knew exactly. And I know when I did it, I didn't know what I was going to say.
I do. It happens all the time creatively.
So when people say, wow, that's a great song you wrote, I was like, the best part of it is just a connection of panic because I didn't know what I was going to say, and then the minute you say it, you're like, well, that's perfect.
Right. It's a discovery because I work that way too. I improvise on stage until it comes together, and I've had jokes take years to really unfold. Like I know I have enough of it that it's funny. It's funny, but then the conversation continues, and then one night, like whether you're writing a song or whether you're singing or whether you're on stage, if your mind is open and you're talking and you're doing the same thing you've done, and it's the 10th or 20th or 500th time you did it, and that one night you find that opening and you say that one next thing and you're like, holy shit, it's done. Yeah.
No, I know, but it's about like you're talking and you're almost talking and thinking
That's the
in the same moment.
Greatest thing. Because you can't explain why. Because some people are very meticulous. They sit there, they craft a song or they craft a joke or they write a story or a poem, and it's sometimes it's like a math equation. But other times it's just a complete mystery, and you have no idea where that came from. It may not have even been something you would say ever before.
Well, no, but see, that's what I mean. Once you say it, you can act like, oh, well, of course. Yes, I say that. It's a great thing to say. Yeah, of course. And that's what happens. Is like you start becoming your songs or the things, the meaning behind it starts to be, But so I don't always feel like. I don't see. This goes back to I don't want to control it.
No. Well, that's the difference. I think that's what you were saying before is right. That what comes out of fear is you find within your craft this freedom, and there's no fear there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And
because what's the worst that could happen? So you write a dumb song. Who cares? Or the joke isn't funny. Who cares? Yeah. We'll do another one. Who cares?
Yeah. You take the hit, but you get past it.
I don't care.
You're not in a crashing plane.
No, I know.
It's just in the middle of a bad song.
There's not a real tragedy. Nothing bad is really going to happen.
No.
But embarrassment is great.
It's great. Humility.
Yeah.
It's good to be handed your ass.
Totally.
Several times throughout your life.
Yeah, totally.
If you're never handed your ass, no one's going to like you.
Well, no, or you don't get to sing or talk about anything. And when you talk to people who don't really know the depths and the smell of shit, the depths of how bad it can really be. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me,
it sounds like you have enough in your family
to be embarrassed and to fail at what we're doing that's what makes you.
Well, what's been in your mind? What experience do you go back to when you think that? Was it starting out? Was it playing small clubs?
Well, it's like it still happens all the time. It's like you think we're going to go and play and people are going to love us. And you're there and absolutely nobody shows up. I mean,
that happens to you?
Well, not so much now. I mean, we don't go unless some people are going to show up, But we were at a conference just the other night where it's late at night and the audience just doesn't care anymore. And there's still a couple of groups. I mean, we weren't playing. I was in the audience. But they still have to go up there and play, and there's absolutely nobody there that even cares.
Right.
I mean, that's a crusher. And, of course, we did that. We've done that, plenty of times early on.
Oh, of course.
What do you do? I mean, have you ever showed up where there's like one person?
Oh, yeah. I've done shows for 2 people.
And you still just is it that you feel like, okay, well, this is.
Well, it's a little different in what I do because, like, I've always envied musicians in the fact that even if the worst case scenario, you guys still got each other, and you can still say, well, this sucks, but let's look at it as a rehearsal, or let's play our fucking songs.
Yeah.
When you're on stage and there's literally 2 people to maybe 12 people in the audience, there's no fourth wall anymore. This isn't a show. If I was to stand up in front of 2 to 10 people and pretend like I'm just doing a show, that would make me delusional. It would make me horrified.
Yeah.
So what
you mean like the musicians can do that because you just play? And it's
because
like,
you're protected by the song in a way.
Yeah.
That's a boundary. But if I'm standing there with 2 people and I don't acknowledge it, they're going to think like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So usually what I learn from those things is a way to create intimacy because I can't help myself. I'm not going to get on stage and pretend like it doesn't suck.
Well, right.
So then all of a sudden the audience and you becomes a very organic thing.
I mean, do you just go out and say, well, look at this?
Yeah, and I'll tell some stories and riff a little bit. And
that would almost be better than a normal show.
I try to do that every show. It's hit or miss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get out there on the ice and you see what happens.
So so as you go through your shows, are you doing a routine? Is part of it a routine?
Well, over the 25 years that I've done this, I somehow managed to, accumulate at any given point in time. I'm working on a certain set list as a parameter, as a framework. And the best thing that can happen within those hours is that something else happens, that we start moving towards the next one.
Oh,
so
I
you
see.
can start sort of,
you
do something long enough. It's like songs. After a certain point, your big hits are going to be like cancer to you.
No, see, I disagree. I mean,
Okay.
For me, it's not like that. For me, the fact that people like it at all is kind of like, we look at it like a McDonald's hamburger. Don't fuck with that. You know what you like. And if we deliver it to you,
and I think that's the difference between music and comedy too.
Yeah.
It's like, like I can listen to a song over and over again, and then I can put it away, and then I'll go back to it. Like if people felt the same way they did about music as they do about comedy, no one would ever buy another Beatles record.
Well, right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I know.
Once you hear the joke, how many times can you really hear the
Well, I agree.
joke?
And that's why I'm asking
Right.
you.
So
Like,
it has to be an evolving experience for me. I just look at all of my material as an ongoing conversation.
But do people come with this idea that they're going to hear some of the hits?
Well, I never know. Because now because of the podcast, I've got a lot of a bigger audience, and they know me very well because I talk very candidly. It's not all jokes. So a lot of them have never seen me do comedy or seen a comedy show. So they kind of wonder if I can do it. And then some of the stuff I talk about, if you talk to people, openly twice a week, they're going to know a lot about you.
Sure.
So they're entering the dialogue sort of like, oh yeah, I heard him kind of talk about this. So I have to deal with that. But then if you go back to my first record, there are some people that have never heard that shit. And sometimes it's a stretch for me. Some guy requested a joke that I did 20 years ago the other
how
night.
weird. Yeah.
And I literally said, all right, I'm going to try to do that because I know the groove is there. I just got to find where to drop the needle. I know I'd said that joke hundreds of times before, but I couldn't remember.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't had it up.
Well, the nuances, where's the up, the down,
It wasn't out, and I wasn't running it around, wasn't driving it.
Now, but is that a relief to you some nights where I know this is going to work, and because some nights when we play, there's a lot of calamities, and it isn't easy.
Do you know them, or did the audience know there's a calamity? A lot
I
of
don't.
times
Well,
with music,
probably not. But to you, it's hard to focus, or you can think this doesn't sound right, but they don't know that, and it's all a little bit of a charade. It's all that's happening, and yet if we just do what the map said to do, it'll probably be great. But when you're up there doing a joke that okay, this is how it goes, and yet you're slightly removed or distracted.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Yeah, it's like you just eventually get an innate sense of an audience. I mean, probably with comedy more than music, I would think that there is this weird kind of sensibility you have to have pretty quickly. I mean, I think because with music, your primary concerns are like, how are we going to make it sound good in this fucking room? Right. And you know what I mean? Because there's so many things in between your guitar and your pick and it being delivered into the head.
Sure, yeah.
That it must be a little difficult. Obviously, we know when a crowd is with you.
But
with comedy, from second to second, you can feel, where they are. Based on their engagement, their laughter. So if I'm feeling detached or I'm feeling like I'm losing them, not intellectually, but just momentum wise.
Yeah.
You lean into it. You get,
it's a weird thing because you can really feel that. I can tell when, and there'd be no scientific measurement that you could say, but you can just tell
if it's coming back
when everybody's with you.
Yeah.
Isn't that a weird thing?
It's weird.
And they're not always with you.
Nope.
And even though they're not with you some nights, people still think it's great. But when they're with you, it's like, wow, everything.
You don't even know what to do with that joy.
No, I know. And it makes you think, we really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But we don't, because it's happening. You're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, you should realize that.
Yeah.
I've just been feeling that a little now because it's taken me really this long to get to have fans that will come out to see me. Like most of my career, I've played for a handful of my fans.
I see.
And, a good, 2/3 of the room are just people who are like, it's comedy. They have their own sense.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Going to the club.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden this, it so happens to be a turning point for me where I'm able to accept some of that love. Like before I would fight it. Like, you know what I mean? It's
why? I know. I feel the same way. There was a point where you don't want to accept it as love because you think, well, they don't really love us. This is just, but when we go into a room now where, everyone there knows every word to all your songs and everything that you've done, it's
amazing.
It's hard to beat. Yeah.
And, I think that the turning point is, it's something interesting that my girlfriend said to me recently, and I think it's really the crux of it is, like I do this thing, how we want to get love from people is relative to how we feel about ourselves. Like I do this thing with my girlfriend where I'm like, you don't love me. You don't really love me. And she just looked at me, she said, don't say I don't love you because you don't love you. But, in that moment where you're saying they don't really like us or, they don't know us.
Right.
That's you saying you're not letting them love you for some fucking reason.
Well, but see, once you think that they're loving you, you want to love them back.
Well, isn't that what your music does?
Well, I think that's really what you want. You want to love them. I mean, to me, that's probably the main thing is that you want to love them. So when they love your music and they love what you're saying, you want to, because that's where the joy is.
Right.
That you get to love them. It isn't that they love you.
Right.
It's that you love them. So when they walk up to you later and say you were great, it is great to you to meet them and for them to say you're great. Right. Otherwise, it would just be horrible. To every night go out there and I hate these fuckers, but that would not be a way to live.
Some people do that all the time.
They must, but I wouldn't. If I really didn't love them, I wouldn't want to be around them and provoke them to come talk to us and meet me.
Sure.
So for me, that changed everything for me when I sort of felt like I can love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to get as much out of this as they can and to absorb as much of what I'm about.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, if it's not what I intended or whatever. But to me, that changed everything. So I feel like I'm very lucky.
Well, that's
great.
great.
When I meet, a guy came to the door today.
Yeah.
As they do, they'll probably come to your door. People come to your door and say, "Hey, I just want to meet you." And
it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, like not at the house so much, but people have a very defined relationship with me, and I don't know them.
Right, but they know you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a delicate thing to be gracious and but also to respect the fact that it is one-sided. And, I want to be there for this person in this moment, but there's no way I'm going to have the time to get to know them like they know me.
Right. I mean, I usually, I'll just do the couple of questions right off the bat is like, have you come to kill me?
Yeah, that's good. It's a good opener.
And I kind of feel like if they were, that would, they'd kind of stumble or, if I asked, trick them a little bit here and there. So that's usually what I do.
Well, that's see, you don't have boundaries either. Yeah, that's the way we started this conversation because like most people in the position that you're in, would have somebody to filter that shit. Out of fear and personal safety.
It's too much trouble. I mean, see, I've learned the other way.
No, but you want to connect.
Yeah.
And you're willing to gamble.
For me, it's interesting though. Here they are, and maybe they're, I mean, I don't really know their story. To me, with
Right.
you know, if they're willing to come all this way,
Right.
you know, and stand here,
Sure.
how humiliating that would be for them.
You know, you can't be a dick.
No, I
but
would
you
never.
still don't. You still
Right.
you're hedging your bets that you don't know what they're going to do.
I kind of feel like they're the ones that are nervous, and I'm the one.
That's always true.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, I'm not.
So
gonna,
for me, it's fun. I mean,
no,
for me,
it's fun too.
yeah,
But I don't want to
yeah.
plant the seed in either of our heads where there's that one dude that's decided that I am somehow operating against the universal scheme of things that they've decided for themselves.
But see, I think if they really think about it, I'd probably have a gun on me too.
Yeah,
you know, and I
right.
could, if they tried to shoot me, I could duck and just shoot them back.
You don't have a gun on you.
I don't, but I have a secret bodyguard everywhere I go.
You
And
do?
if something happened, they would just jump out.
He's right here. He's not so secret.
He's not even secret.
He's
yeah.
like sitting right
Think
here in
I'd
the
come
room.
here by myself?
Who's this Maron guy you set me up with?
Let's rob him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
cool.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be the best thing in the world if you came over here and stole my shit.
And I beat you up and took your
just
computer.
left, and
Yeah.
I tweeted that. All I had was my iPhone. Wayne Coyne just kicked my ass and took my tape
I would just
recorder.
deny it. It would just be a
be
battle
me.
of Twitter lies. No, dude. No, he was a fake.
Well, so you don't have any kind of getting back to that audience thing. I mean, I can tell when there's like a bad element in the room.
Yeah.
Like, I walk into a room and I just see how they're sitting, and then there's that one table of fucking people that aren't about what I'm about.
Yeah.
Not sure what they're doing here.
Yeah.
They might be here to hear the one song.
Yeah.
Or they might be here because it's a party and they saw it in the paper. And,
Well, and and it's easy for them to get attention and throw you off your thing. Yeah. I mean, for us, we play at such volume.
Right.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
we're like, look, we can just obliterate you.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to acknowledge it so the audience can get past it too.
Oh, no, you got to shut
sometimes
them
they're
down.
just too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unless you say, dude, look, what's the beef? Or
Yeah.
look, I'm with you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your? I'll
Yeah.
help you get
Yeah,
through
yeah,
this
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
So sometimes I think it's almost better just to acknowledge it and move on.
Well, do you have those fans where, I talk to musicians about this when I get to talk to them that, do you realize obviously it's a huge song?
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
And
yeah.
but like before that, you've done what, 5 albums?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then this blasts off, and you got a hit song. You got 2 hit songs now. But do you have people that are just sort of like, play this song?
They do, but I don't really give them more power than all the other love that's going there. But I do acknowledge that sometimes we'll play the song. And then 2 songs later, they're like, play the song. We're like, dude, we just played it. I don't know how fucked up you are, but we just played it. We just played it. But I'll be at shows all the time where people do that. And I think it's funny. I mean, when I'm in the audience, then it happens. I'm not that affected by oh my God, what should we do? I'm like, fuck it. It's their show. They'll deal with it.
Right.
And I don't think about it too much. So I sort of feel like that's probably how a lot of people in our audience are. They're having a good time. And some asshole isn't going to derail it for them. I think that's the power that they have anyway, is that they're coming to this thing already no one's going to make this bad for me. I'm the one that's going to make it good for me.
Right.
And some asshole is going to take it away from me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And there's also that moment where you're like, well, I'm probably not going to be able to make that person happy.
Yeah, but sometimes and it's not a good thing, but sometimes you get used to it all working.
Sure.
And it flows and you take it and it's great. But occasionally it's great to know that you're fighting against the pricks. I love that too.
Yeah.
Where you just kind of buckle in fuck it. I'm going to. And so occasionally I'll look the guy right in the face all right, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to hit them and I'm not going to attack them.
Yeah.
But I'm just it lets you just go into another dimension of performance.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things you get to do up there.
Sure. Spite's a good driver.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, back when in the early days, we'd open up for groups. We opened up for Tool. And Tool as a group.
That's a hard bunch.
Yeah, well, as a group, they really liked us and our music, but their audience didn't, so
you guys were too soft.
Well, yeah. Or they just didn't even know who we were, and that was already enough reason to despise us. So the minute we would go up there, it'd just be like, fuck this. And if there was something to throw, a shoe, or we'd play some places we'd be playing outside, they'd throw cups full of sand, But sometimes that would be almost even more energetic than people that love you because you're like,
yeah. I'll show you what rock and roll is.
So you got to find a lot of ways to make
that's
it your thing,
the humility element of it all.
It's wonderful.
So did you know when you wrote that song, though, that it would be as huge?
Well,
do you
no,
realize? Because
no.
it's such a beautiful song, and it's one of them songs where it's sort of like, yeah, we are going to die, but this is sweet.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that line, when I would play it, played initially for Stephen, and then when we played for, other people, it would be that line would be this kind of, the culmination of what the Flaming Lips, at their purest and best is purity, like you talked about earlier. Only Wayne would say something like that, and it's not true, but it's the sort of lyric that, sung in the right way, it sounds like wisdom and complete innocence at the same time. Something, but that's just music. I mean, music does most of the work for you, and then I get to stand there and look like the cool dude.
But when you had it in your hand,
no, at the time it was just really just another little song
record,
and I thought it was cool, but I didn't, it's probably like the way you do things. There's a moment where you're in love with this thing you're doing, and then you do it, and then you're in love with the next thing. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I mean, you have to. Otherwise, you'd just sit there on one song forever, But no, I mean, once we did it, everybody would immediately respond, "Oh, wow, what a great hit that's going to be!" And you're like, "Yeah, whatever," And then, after it happens, and after it's gone on for so many years, and people use it in commercials and all sorts of things. It's except like, of course, it's a great song. Sure, of course. And, you don't think about it anymore, And people will, almost every show, there'll be different people will come up. Someone would have used it at a funeral for their
or a wedding, right?
Or a wedding.
Right. I saw it at an anniversary party.
Yeah, or at like the birth of their kids, So it's one of those... it can be about any of these.
That's a circle of life song.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That you would never want to purposely write. For me, those are if you think you're going to write the big epic wedding song, or whatever, you'd never get it right.
No, but to write a song that someone can play at a wedding and equally as effective as a funeral.
No, that is the biggest compliment you can.
You hit the magic number.
No, and then I'm with those people.
Yeah.
It's like your parents are only going to die once, and if that's the song that you associate with it, I'm with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the love. When someone comes up and says something like that, you just, wow, we're connected. You've put me into your life with this little song of mine. And that song is true to me. It isn't like if I'm not like that. I'm not just like that, but a lot of me is like that song. So I think it's a great world, to go around. And if people know me through my music, that's the greatest compliment your art can have, is that they know you through the dumb shit you say. Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end.
Excellent.
Thanks, Wayne.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Now let's beat him up.
Okay.